Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I was told that Link2 is going to be giving $1,000 of XRP for every $10,000 invested into Ripple until midnight on July the 31st. What's today? The 28th. So just a handful of days. A little bit of water. I'm trying to get going here. But if you buy Ripple equity, they're putting $1,000 of XRP in your account. So pay attention to that. They are a sponsor, by the way. Links in the top of the description. Then here from Coins Kid, in theory, we should see XRP hit at least $6 with the impulse wave up that began in January of this year. How long this minimal target takes to play out is a guessing game. I'll remind you, regardless of time, the pullbacks within this larger move are only opportunities. Well, I agree. Okay, so this is crazy. This came out yesterday. Huge money in politics news. The Southern District of New York is dropping its federal prosecution of Sam Bankman-Fried on campaign finance charges per new letter from prosecutors. The government does not intend to proceed to trial on the campaign contributions count. Now, why do you think that is, folks? A picture is 1,000 words, right? They're now in protection mode of all these politicians, no telling how many of them would be implicated in this. And so now all of these crooks are trying to make this go away, is what really this means. As far as I can tell, our country is completely corrupted at this point. Makes me sick. And here he is, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yep. Right. Okay, here it is. Sam Bankman-Fried.
Are you changing your plea?
Abruptly.
Mr. Bankman-Fried,
why make the contact?
Are you worried you're going to prison?
I'll tell you what. Then we have this, and I believe that this is literally a national security risk. Well, think about it. We have a president who barely knows his name. We have Mitch McConnell, who has a literal stroke, it looked like, in front of, while he's at the podium. And then we have this.
Senator Feinstein.
Say aye.
Pardon me?
Aye. Yeah.
Just say
I would like to support a yes vote on this. It provides $823 billion. That's an increase of $26 billion for the Department of Defense. And it funds priorities submitted.
yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just
Great,
aye.
So they're basically, half these people, it's almost as if they're keeping them alive just to get to see how many more votes they can get that they want out of them, so that they don't have to risk some new person coming in that wouldn't be supportive of them. It's crazy. Now, I'm not calling for age limits because some people are in their right mind at a much older age than others, but term limits is a definite. I mean, we needed term limits a long time ago, because a woman like that, she doesn't get it, when she's in this kind of a mind, she doesn't initially get elected. And when you initially get elected, if we had term limits where you couldn't be elected over and over and over and over, it'd be game over. All right, game over for the corruption and the crooks and the senile politician. Okay. John Deaton and this is Jason Foster from Empower, and this is against the backdrop of the FTX, what I just showed you. Warren Davidson, Tom Emmer, Patrick McHenry, I hope you have subpoenas ready and will be served on Gary Gensler, SEC Enforcement Director. Mark Wetjen, Dan Berkowitz, FTX, SBF. Berkowitz resigned for a reason, and that reason must be fully investigated. Gensler will follow. Exactly. These Republicans can't be let off the hook. They got power. They have subpoena power. Use it. Okay. Then, of course, we had Gary Gensler yesterday on, and he was on Bloomberg. Listen to this. He does not want to talk about that decision.
So to a different topic, which has gotten a lot of attention lately, crypto. Specifically, a ruling that was made in the Ripple case that XRP is only a security when sold to institutional investors, not so with retail investors. I know you've previously said you were disappointed by that ruling. The SEC has also said that it intends to seek further review. So does that mean you are going to appeal it? Can you elaborate on your thoughts around that ruling?
Kaylee, great question, but the commission, I'm one of 5 commissioners. Mm-hmm. The commission has not acted on that. And if the staff makes a recommendation, we'll have a discussion of it, and we'll take it up then. But I don't really have anything more for you for that.
In the meantime, as we wait for this, what does it mean for your efforts around crypto, for your efforts to try to protect the consumer in these areas? Does it complicate it?
Look, this field of crypto investing, a lot of investors should be aware it's not only a highly speculative asset class, it's also one that they currently should not assume that they're getting the protections of the securities laws, even though the securities laws apply to many of those tokens without prejudging anyone.
You used to say all except for Bitcoin.
But you as investors are not getting the full, fair, and truthful disclosure. And the platforms, the intermediaries, are doing things that we would never in a day allow or think the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ would do. The platforms often are commingling and trading against you and have market makers that are on the other side of your trades. And we don't...
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of back during the financial crisis when we found out that Goldman Sachs was trading against their customers that they had sold mortgage-backed securities to. But that's okay, of course.
Allow that in the rest of our securities markets. And the securities laws are there to protect you. And that's right now, this is a field rife with fraud.
From where I sit, the fraud and the hucksters and all are the ones running our government.
Rife with hucksters. And there are good faith actors as well, but there are far too many that aren't.
Well, the question, if that's the case, the question is, why is he not going after the fraudsters and the hucksters? They didn't accuse Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson of fraud. Why are you going after the good actors when most of them are frauds and hucksters? Go after the frauds and hucksters. That's the problem, because that's by design. They want to draw an alignment between frauds and hucksters and people that are just trying to get clarity. SEC, Rosalind Layton finally did a write-up and weighed in on the outcome of the case. SEC fought the law won. That's a pretty good summary right there. But you know what what should make people so angry is that, yes, she's right. They fought the law and the law won. But the SEC Jay Clayton filed that lawsuit against Ripple as a weapon. You think that they didn't know that the oranges themselves were not securities? Because that's ultimately what Ripple had to spend $200+ million to prove, something that the SEC already knew wasn't true. It was a lie from the get-go. Now you've got this. Patrick McHenry's Clarity for Payment Stablecoin Act passes the Financial Services Committee with bipartisan support. After 15 months of bipartisan collaboration, this landmark legislation is one step closer to becoming law. That's a different, Clarity for Payment Stablecoins Act is different from the one they were talking about yesterday. I think this lady's referring to the other one, but it's all kind of the same. Once these things start getting passed, it's game freaking on. It's on like Donkey Kong. Write it down.
And if the advocates for this bill are correct, and we can expect innovation in the digital asset and cryptocurrency space to explode if this bill passes and brings the regulatory certainty that they're asking for. And if the
let me hit the pause button there. Okay. Then you have this in a letter to the SEC. Grayscale chief legal officer says Bitcoin ETFs should all be approved simultaneously for the benefit of Bitcoin in the market. So you could see a lot of this stuff just happen all at once, folks. That's what I think is going to happen. And then all of a sudden, the skies are going to be clear in the United States, and then the whole world's going to go. I think we will have an awakening of sorts, and I think the digital asset space will go absolutely nuts. Watch this.
How the liquidity pools and DeFi.
This is Ripple had put out their new value report, and now they're going and interviewing different people at Ripple. And this is Naveen Gupta, who I've always thought was one of the smarter guys at Ripple. Listen to this.
Could be useful for them, but the overall answer is yes, but more work needs to be done on multiple use cases that are being experimented with.
You touched on this before, specifically about remittances, but for payments and treasury leaders, both in the region and abroad, what are the incentives for them to use crypto in their financial flows?
So let's take a simple example, right? So there is a buyer and supplier. Both of them are based in different countries. And today, the terms are net 30. That means the buyer pays the supplier 30 days after the goods have been received. Now, today, when they make the payment, the actual money is credited into the account of the supplier only on the 33rd day. That means they lose on an average 3 days of working capital every month. This compounds to 36 days over 1 year. Now, let's assume if they were using cryptocurrencies as a bridge, the payment that the supplier will be receiving will be instant, eliminating this 36 days of wasteful working capital that today they have to bear with, which essentially means that they can be 10% more productive in their business by eliminating this and receiving the money on the 30th day when it is sent by the buyer. And that's the power of cryptocurrencies that the businesses would like to harness.
But the region that you lead here, MENA, the Middle East and North Africa, there's been a lot of interest in crypto. Can you talk about the temperature here for crypto, the adoption of crypto in the Middle East?
Yeah, absolutely. So firstly, Middle East always had progressive regulations around crypto. So if you look at specifically the UAE, it already has enabling regulation. It has a virtual asset specific regulator that's helping with the adoption of cryptocurrencies itself. Every day, I get phone calls from multiple countries around the world for Web3 entrepreneurs who wants to move to the UAE and call it their home. And this is what we are seeing. We are seeing entrepreneurs, we are seeing money, we are seeing enabling regulation, and that's what's making the Middle East the hotbed for cryptocurrencies and entrepreneurship around it.
I will bet you Ripple's phones here in the U.S. are ringing off the hook now. Now, this was something that went on yesterday. SBI VC Trade did a Zoom with Emi Yoshikawa from Ripple, and I translated the Japanese here. Thank you to everyone who attended the XRP webinar. We received comment, but I wanted to show you this slide because this slide shows you how SBI VC Trade plans to use the XRP ledger between them and coins.ph, SBI Remit, AsianNet. I think you're gonna see. This reminds me of the old Everest document, if you ever saw it. But I think that this is what it's going to look like in the U.S. and everywhere else before this is over. And then we have this creepy photo. This is one of the guys who has decided to let WorldCoin scan his retina so that he can get a few tokens or something. I guess I do not understand that. It's like a psyop going on. Check this out. James Rule, he was over in London at that, was it the BPM wallet? Yeah. They had like a meetup, or no, it was like a launch party or something like that. But this is what we were going to do if Brad Garlinghouse had not shown up at XRP Las Vegas, this Flat Brad. I got the idea for that from Howard Stern show. He had Flat Ronnie, his limo driver. But apparently James Rule had one done, so I thought that was funny. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I thought that for a second that said oysters. I was like, that makes me want to get some oysters. I love raw oysters. Oh, by the way, I told my wife and my kids that I was going to tell you guys this. I'll see if anybody thinks it's funny. This is a little known secret about me. Everybody makes fun of me because of the way that I say the word quesadillas. You may find it funny too, so I told my wife I was going to say it to my audience today. Thanks for listening.